So, strange times. What do you think?
I will tell you this. Are you asking me or Mike?
Both of you.
Mike, you go first.
No, you go first.
Okay. I will say this.
I will defer to you here.
I, of course, love Robert Smith.
Mm-hmm.
I love Damon Albarn. I kind of didn't. Was there a hook in? There wasn't.
You have to wait like to the halfway point before they get to it.
I just don't know if it ever landed.
I don't know if I heard it.
Yeah, it just never landed on anything. And I love both of those guys.
But I had to play it.
No, you have to play it.
Okay,
I
sure.
mean, they're legendary.
Hey, it's Robert Smith.
Especially for this podcast. How can you... It should add up to... But sometimes, hey, if we loved everything, we wouldn't seem honest about it, right?
Have you seen The Cure?
I have. I saw them the last time they were through here. That's one of the most memorable shows that I've seen in years.
There is
the American Airlines
that.
Center, right?
Yeah.
It is. They're the... have you seen Depeche Mode? Oh, of course. I've heard you talk about it.
Yeah, I have seen Depeche Mode.
Between the two of them, I think that they would have the most arguments of, well, I'm not playing after you. Especially at a festival. Who would you... I feel like Depeche Mode might win on that. Like, you don't want to play after Depeche Mode.
Yeah, just because of they have the hits and the big crowd interaction
and the
bits.
synth. They have the lead singer that can do the lead singer thing.
Yeah.
And so...
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like Robert Smith and The Cure are almost like the jam band of new wave, right?
They do play for a long time. They play for a long time.
I mean, if you wanted to equate them to anyone, it might be like the Dead, because they play a different set every night and they can play forever.
And everyone knows every word to everything.
Right.
And the whole deal. Yeah, I get it.
So like they're the new wave Dead.
I saw
But Depeche Mode is far more showy.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah. He's got the frontman thing.
Yeah.
It is. He might be one of the best.
Yeah.
That's ever been.
I love both of those shows, though.
Yeah. When did you see that? When was the Depeche Mode show? What
Probably about 3 or 4 years ago.
was that at the Starplex?
Yeah,
thing?
it was a Starplex.
We were at that, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, because I think I bought too many tickets. Or we were sitting in different places and we couldn't find each other. It was something was fucked up.
And then I think I rounded us up behind the soundboard.
Yeah. So I want to know, Mike, we don't have to spend too much time on this, but I do want to know your journey of embracing the 80s and embracing gay synth pop music, because during your zoo days, at the time when all of this music was happening, it was the antithesis of what you liked. It was something to be shunned and frowned upon. And so when did you kind of revise your own history and say, you know what, I missed out on some stuff?
Some of it probably was a guilty pleasure for me back then. Some of it. But for the most part, the zoo turned away from that stuff, because our audience was the young 25 to 34-year-old blue-collar guy. He wanted to rock and roll.
The guy with the Camaro or the Trans Am.
Yeah, like ZZ Top, man.
Yeah, man.
That guy. You know, not that there's anything wrong with ZZ Top.
There is nothing wrong with ZZ Top.
There absolutely is not. But I think the thing that really turned the corner for me on this was being up at the ticket and being around all you guys and seeing how you were into it. And almost by default, I was forced to at least hear, if not totally absorb, some of it.
Right.
And the more I heard it, the more I began to get it, the more I began to understand it. And over a period of time, I just came around on it. You were key to this.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You were absolutely key to bringing me around on this.
What was the first show you guys went to see? I mean, was it Erasure?
It might have been Erasure.
It probably
that we planned to be there together.
Yeah.
I think we ran into each other at The Cure.
Yeah.
but we went to Erasure together.
He was my date.
Yes.
That's
I
so
I
great.
sat in VIP in Ryan's seats
Yes, he did.
at the House of Blues.
Man, an Erasure show is there's a lot to take in there.
Yeah.
I was a huge Erasure fan. Boy, the second time that I saw them, I was just like, man, they're really going for it.
The costume changes.
Woo! There's a lot of high kicks.
Yeah.
But still, they're so good. And Vince Clarke, you can't. He's a genius. So what can you
Yeah.
do?
I mean,
You just love what you love.
lightning struck
And
3
that's
times
just how
for
it
Vince
is.
Clarke.
I know how many. He decides, well, every band I'm in is going to be a big deal.
Right.
Who
I don't
gets
like
to be
this
that
band,
guy?
so I'm gonna create a band that's just as big.
Yeah.
Some guys are just like that.
I know. Man, he's just got it.
So you brought up the good old days at the Ticket. So we should probably spend just a little bit of time on that. And I think what some people find interesting or unusual about our dynamic is how different it is from when it began to now. Because before I was your Erasure Bear, I was just some snot-nosed kid who was ruining your show. And I was part of this Gen X crew that was undermining everything that you and Grego were trying to do. And so at the time, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but I think you hated me. And so for it to evolve from that to now me being your Erasure Bear,
It's a long way.
it's a long journey. What do you remember about those days and how we got from there to here?
I remember mostly that I was just a little bit too much of a red ass back then, more than anything else. I was just a little bit too hyper aggressive. I had something and I was very overprotective of it. I was not terribly open to new ideas. I was not terribly open to new people who I did not bring in to the scene.
You were very much into dues paying.
Yeah.
You wanted people to prove themselves.
I
Yeah.
think that makes sense, though.
Yeah. And I still have much respect for those who go down that road
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
and do pay their dues. But back then it was kind of mandatory for me. And I don't know if anything like that should be mandatory.
So, from my perspective, there are 2 key moments in my relationship with you. 2 key turning points.
I can't wait to hear this.
The first,
Boy, neither can I.
No, right?
the first one was, I think, what eventually got me the ticker job on the hard line. As brief as I held that position and as bad as I was at it. I think the thing that put me on your radar was the Kenny Rogers Perfect Game and me getting guys on the phone from the locker room on with you and Mike on Diamond Talk. Because I was one of the stringers
Yeah.
at that game, the Kenny Rogers Perfect Game. Was that 96?
Yeah, I think so.
And so
That game comes up so much on the ticket.
I know.
It's like the biggest day in Dallas history.
And so I was just like a wild man trying to grab anyone and everyone to, hey, will you go on Diamond Talk? Will you talk to the guys right now? And then, the producer back at the station would be like, we have Mike Stanley on the phone right now. I don't know if he was on the team, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think I got like 3 guys on the air with you.
You did some work that night.
Yeah, I paid my dues.
Yes, you did. You
And
did
so-
some work.
And so I felt like that was the first time that you noticed me as a professional human being.
Probably so.
And then the second moment where I feel like our relationship evolved was at least a decade later, 15 years later. At some point, I wasn't working at the Ticket anymore, and you and Corby were doing a live remote in Sundance Square in Fort Worth for the Dallas Stars. I don't know what the event was, if it was like the icebreaker or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Some kind of PR event for the Stars. And I was with my daughter, who was, like 4 or 5 at the time. And I was looking for something for us to do, an activity. And I heard that you guys were live in downtown Fort Worth. And I was like, well, come on, Claire, let's go to Fort Worth. Let's, go have some lunch. I don't know what we were doing. I don't know why we had the day free, but I was like, let's go check out downtown Fort Worth. Maybe, we can ice skate or whatever the hell you do in downtown Fort Worth. But then we can also drop by and see the remote. And so I brought my daughter, and you guys got to break, and then I introduced her to you and Corby, and just, exchanged some pleasantries. Mm-hmm. But I feel like at that moment, your perception, and this is me telling myself stories, right? But I think at that moment, because you're a girl dad, and then you saw me as a girl dad, that your perception of me changed. Like, okay, this is no longer the idiot who was terrible at tickers on my show. This is a grown man who has a daughter, just like I have a daughter, and maybe he's a good dude. Yeah. Maybe he's okay.
There's probably a good bit to that, because I do have a thing for girl dads.
We're all girl dads.
Yeah, he's a girl dad too.
God, where's my Boston shirt?
I know.
We really could have had a thing
we could have just all crossed streams together tonight.
Man, I blew it.
Boy, the mating we could do.
I even saw it like before I put my pack together tonight. Boston shirt. No, not today. What was I thinking? It's my most comfy shirt. It's so great. Don't you love that shirt?
Oh, I love this shirt. Sure do.
Did you get it at the pro shop across the street
from
the stadium? Yeah, that's where it is.
Sure did.
God.
Well, but
sorry, back to you, Dan.
No. I'm asking you, like, Toby, who in your life has been, not necessarily a father figure, but a mentor that you sought their approval?
I'm pretty cool.
You came out fully formed.
Yeah,
wow!
Just
what a guy.
Yeah, I wish that I had a cool story about that, but most of the older guys in the record business, they're kind of assholes.
Right?
The guys that I really respect and I learned everything from, but they were not father figures and they were kind of jerks.
Well, I mean, just because Mike was the face of the ticket and the founder of the ticket.
Well, he ends up being a nice guy.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he was a red ass at the time, but he evolved into this, magnanimous, just welcoming figure. And he was the person that all of us young kids at the ticket wanted to impress and wanted to get approval from.
How did you get involved with it?
Well, I interned at BAP when Grego worked at BAP before the ticket.
All right, now, can I jump in here?
Sure.
Yeah, I would like to know how.
Here is a story. You could have very easily have been a ticket day oneer.
Really?
If you'd have played your cards right, which you didn't.
No.
And you would probably say that you were in no way wired to do anything like this.
Well, I hadn't graduated by ticket day one, because ticket day one was January of 94, and I graduated in May of 94.
All right, but still, the seeds could have been sown.
Right?
All you would have had to do is hang out with us down there on the other end and show us some of this genius, which is now so readily on display every single day of your life.
I know, it's annoying.
I know, but at that time, and I do remember at Old Arlington Stadium, the back of the bus.
Yes.
You and Junior Miller and Grego.
Right. We need to set this up for Toby.
I don't know what you're talking about. Where's the bus? Do we still have the bus?
It was nomenclature.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Out of Darlington.
I just wish there was a bus.
There's no bus.
Okay.
Out of Darlington Stadium, there was the main press box. Mm-hmm. And that was filled with writers, club personnel, and stuff like that. And they took a very dim view of broadcast media in there. And down the right field line, when they expanded Arlington Stadium for the first time, they built this box area where they were going to have suites and stuff like that. Well, that never really materialized. So what they did was they took the members of the leering press that they did not want in the main press box and put them down there.
The back of the bus.
Yes.
The back of the,
yes,
okay, now
the back
I get
of the
it.
bus,
Now
where
I
we
get
were well out of view from most of those. And John Blake, who was
And it was like a single wide.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, it was like a
That's so
long.
awesome.
It was just like this long press box thing. You
Okay,
know?
so that was the party box.
Yeah. And we were up there, and John Blake, who was running Rangers Media then, as he still does now.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He would look down on us with his binoculars and make sure things weren't getting too out of hand. And mainly that we were watching the game, which,
Right.
you know, we did. We watched the game.
Sure.
But when I first started going down there and I met Grego and Junior, we very quickly became a pretty identifiable clique. And this is well before the ticket was even on the drawing
So
board.
was Craig working with?
He was a KRLD at the time.
Yeah, he was a KRLD.
okay.
Grego was a WBAP. And I was doing a sports phone thing, if
Right.
you can imagine.
GTE on call,
Yes,
right?
GTE on call.
And I made it to a handful of Arlington Stadium Ranger games as Grego's intern.
Okay. I'm sorry.
But I was just intimidated by these guys.
Yeah.
it's gotta
I
be
never said a
insane.
word.
Yeah, that has to be insane.
Well, we formed an identifiable clique, and we would sit down on the other end of the press box, well away from everybody else, and we would spend the entire game cutting up and making each other laugh. And we were probably a real, well, I know, there's no probably to it, we were a real nuisance to everybody else in there. Even though they were well far away from us, they could hear us laughing and
Sure.
you know, telling jokes
Yeah,
and
yeah.
making a lot of racket and all that stuff down there.
But basically creating the ticket.
Yes, we didn't realize it at the time, but what we were doing was that was where the teeth were cut, pretty much. And Davey was down there on the other end with all those other guys. And he acted like he was as annoyed with us as anybody was.
What were you doing?
No, it was just that I was a college kid who just didn't know my place. I didn't know what to do. I was just trying to blend into the wallpaper.
And so
That's exactly what he was doing.
So you're about to graduate from North Texas, right?
Yeah.
What year is this? 94?
94.
Okay.
Well, I guess this would have been 93.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
Summer of 93.
this would have been before 94.
Oof.
Yeah.
Man, you're really doing it.
I blew it.
All you would have had to do was just move down there and just kind of skulk.
Right?
And then when I turned around and said, "What are you doing here, kid?" Just say, "I don't know, it just sounds like you guys are having fun. Do you mind if I just listen and eavesdrop?"
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just want some nachos.
Just basically not be a pussy.
Yeah, and I'd have been okay with that, I think. I don't know, maybe I wouldn't have been.
No.
But you could have been, if we would have seen, if you would have allowed us to see what we see from you now,
Right?
then yeah.
But see,
God,
but
you blossomed so much
I know.
later.
Yeah,
You're a
but
late
but even when I got the ticker job on the hard line, which was, you know, maybe, I mean, that was after the move to Reverchon.
Yeah.
So what was that, year 2
That
or
was,
3?
Yeah, that was 96.
Yeah. So even at that point, I was still not ready for prime time. I still was all up in my own head and such a bundle of nerves all the time. So I don't.
Yeah, I could tell.
Even if I had been a day oneer, I don't think it would have made a difference, because I think I still would have gotten in my own way in some way.
You know, but now on the ticket, because it's such a thing, you know, when the younger guys mess up and it's the drops, and
The e-brake.
like, it's constant now that it's accepted so much now and almost encouraged. Like Gordon can't wait till one of them gets shake voice, just a little nervous voice,
Right.
just a hint of it. So now it's such a thing, but you invented it.
Thank you. I guess I don't know.
Sorry, Dave, but you kind of did.
Well, all I have to say is I'm glad that we are where we are now, Mike.
I am too.
I value our friendship.
I love you, man.
I value our friend. I love you, and I'm so proud to call you a friend. And
proud
thank
to call
you,
you a
thank
friend,
you
too.
for being here. Okay,
I'm gonna cut all this out.
no, no, you need to keep all the mushy parts. And so now it's time for Mike's second song.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Just
I
announce
need to look it up. You need to unveil your second song.
Okay.
Do you have a short list, or do you know exactly what you're playing?
There are options here.
Do you want us to
Yeah.
pick?
I'm glad that you have options. So what are you feeling now? Especially after-
Well, let me throw what's here, and you tell me what sounds best to you.
Okay. How many are we picking from?
You're going to be picking from 8.
Holy crap.
Yeah. I made a list here.
Okay.
There is a Todd Rundgren song that I enjoy quite a bit.
Okay.
If maybe
No, that's
High T
great.
here is a Todd Rundgren fan.
Of course.
There's a song by a local band, which was around here back in the halcyon days of Deep Ellum, squarely in my dark period, who I subsequently have become friends with. And I remembered seeing them down in Deep Ellum back then, and I remember liking this song, and it has stayed with me since then. And this band is no longer together, but they will still get together maybe once a year and play down at Reno's, of all places, in
Okay.
Deep Ellum. We could do an Eagles deep cut.
Wait, what's the name of the band?
The name of the band is the White Animals.
Okay. All right. I'm intrigued by that.
We could do an Eagles deep cut.
Okay.
We could do a delightful bit of synth pop from Capital Cities.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's kind of a modern jam, right?
Yeah.
That
A very
lasts like 5 to 10 years.
A very modern jam.
Okay.
I've been on a Paul Carrack jag here lately.
Yes.
The career of Paul Carrack has been very amazing.
I think a lot of people know Paul Carrack and don't realize that they know
Yes,
him.
they do.
He's been on a lot of
Yes, he's been a part of many songs, and he is great. I love his singing. But he's one of those guys who just never really seems to draw too much attention to himself.
He does get important bands though.
Yeah,
He's
oh
in-
yeah. I mean, he goes out with Nick Lowe, or I don't know if Nick Lowe goes out anymore, but when he did, I saw him take Paul Carrack with him a time or two. He did Mike and the Mechanics, the Genesis offshoot. And there are a couple of other things he's done, but I've got the first time that I ever heard Paul Carrack
Okay.
singing a song in here, which is one I'm sure you guys will remember.
Okay.
I've got a Citizen Cope song.
Oh, okay.
I'm absolutely addicted to Citizen Cope, and I'm not sure why.
Okay.
Is that a Jordan thing? Did she get you on that?
No. I happened to see him opening for the Counting Crows once.
Okay.
And ever since then, whenever he comes through here, I'm there. I'm a flat ass, no doubt about it, big fan of his. I've got a Bill Withers thing. Bill Withers died not too long ago. That sent me down a wormhole of Bill Withers deep cuts. And I found so much more there than meets the eye. And a few years ago on HBO, there was this little show that they had called How to Make It in America.
Yeah.
Remember that? Mm-hmm. I've got the theme song from that.
Who's the artist?
Aloe Black.
Okay.
See, now that
Well,
took me because I love a theme song.
Yeah. He's played some TV themes before. I'm gonna defer because a lot of this stuff is like deep down the wormhole musician stuff. So I'm gonna defer to Toby.
Okay, I'll give you 3. So we can do Todd Rundgren because, you know,
Yeah.
we can do the Paul Carrack or we can do the Bill Withers.
of those, which do you really want to hear right now, Mike?
And I'm into all of those. I want to hear all of them, but for some reason, those three, because for some reason I want to hear the Todd Rundgren song you would play.
Okay, that's fine.
But
Let's do
also
it.
Bill Withers. Like I want to hear all of of those three, which songs you would pick. And the Paul Carrack thing is throwing me. Like, which one would you pick from that?
Well, if the Todd thing is really sticking out to you, I got no problem with that. Let's roll
do
Todd.
that one. Let's do that.
Let's roll
Okay.
Todd. Let's find Love of the Common Men.
There we go.
I've been a fan of his since he was playing over at the End of Coal, which you know today is Javier's, at the age of 19. With
Is
his
that
first
what the
group,
na-
Naz.
The name of the place was End of Coal?
Yeah.
God, that's cool.
And he quit the band the next day.
Did he really?
Yeah.
The day after you saw him?
Yeah. That's what I've always heard anyway.
Okay, so we're going to need to take a screenshot of your playlist, because I know you got to run and you can't stick around for the After Dark, but we need to play at least a couple of these, the Paul Carrack and the Bill Withers,
Okay.
on the After
Yeah.
Dark in your honor. But this is Todd Rundgren, Love of the Common Man. It is Mike Rhyner's selection on Htwow.
I've been burned in my pride. The simple things in life seem so hard to learn sometimes, and it takes so long. Catch it while you can. To
There we go.
Man,
There was Todd.
that was good. I don't care who you are. That was good.
And that guy's been through so many phases. He's been through prog rock. I mean, serious, space, hardcore prog rock that'll stand up beside anything Yes ever did, even at their most proggy.
And they are the most proggy.
And then he turns around and just gets as pop as you could possibly want.
I know.
And he does all his own harmonies and everything.
Yeah, pretty
That's
much.
all him?
That's him.
Does he play everything in the studio, or does he have session guys, or does he have a band, or has he gone through different phases? I don't know really anything.
I think he's gone through a lot of different phases. He does play a lot of it himself. But the last few times I've seen him, and I do go see him every time he rolls through here, no matter what, if I can. But the last few times I've seen him, he's had a pretty stable unit with him. And he's got one guy, Qasim Sultan, who has been his shotgun rider for, 30 years now. Maybe longer than that. And Qasim plays bass in the Todd scene, but he's also a great guitar player himself and got his own scene working out there too.
So he can still vocals.
Oh yeah.
God, that's amazing.
Yeah, he can still sing it.
God, that'd be cool. How old is he?
He's a few years older than me.
He can still hit. That's
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. It's such a smooth voice.
Yeah.
You know, to get it. It's velvety.
I mean,
Velvet.
the guy is just he's a marvel. He always has been. He was like a prodigy back
Did
then,
him
not
and
a progeny.
Did he ever go cross paths with Michael McDonald? I feel like they've surely.
I don't know if they ever did anything together, but I'll bet they played a few yacht rock shows together.
I'm sure they have, but I always feel like any backup at any point, Michael McDonald just kind of sneaks in the studio and sings backup for
And
everybody.
he just kind of shows up.
I feel
You
like
you
he
just
would
hear,
have done that. Yeah, he's such a good, his voice, he can do it. I feel like they would have crossed paths at some point. But, I mean, I don't know of one. I figured you would know if that ever.
I mean, I think we picked the right one. I definitely want to hear the Michael Carrick thing, and we'll play that on the After Dark. But did I get the name wrong?
Paul.
Paul Carrick. Sorry. Let me get it clean so you can
get
fix
it. Clean.
3, 2, 1. I'm really into the Paul Carrick thing. I want to hear that later,
Yeah.
but I think we picked the right one.
Yeah. Remember when you said Michael before?
Shut up.
Oh, sorry.
I'm trying to impress Mike.
Oh, sorry.
You're ruining it.
Man.
Hi, Toby.
Come on, High T.
Paul Carrick has such a lead vocal guy thing, but he's also bland.
Well,
He's got a bland look.
Yeah.
So he's never
yeah,
really.
there's never. I've seen him play live a few times, and until he's introduced, you don't know who it is.
I don't know. He could be walking down the street at any moment, and no one would know who the hell he is.
You could show me a lineup of 10 white dudes, and I could not pick him out. I have no idea who this guy is.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Yeah, he's a black guy, but that's
Okay,
cool.
I mentioned earlier on the show at the top that we booked Mike ages ago. I think that we were the first show to actually book you post-retirement, even though we're the last show to actually have you on.
Yeah, but that's because it takes planning for this. This is,
Right.
Look at these microphones.
Yeah,
I know.
This is intense.
This is no fly-by-night operation you got
No.
It
here.
took
not
5
at all.
months to set this up.
So you've done many guest spots on many different podcasts, many different radio shows, many different TV shows. As I said, you've been doing a victory lap now for 9 months, but your non-compete finally ran out. And did you have it in your mind that you always wanted to do a podcast, or how did Square One with Mike Rhyner come about?
I had it in my mind that if I did anything, that was probably where I was going to wind up. When I stepped away from the radio station, I didn't have anything in the works. I didn't know if anybody would want me to do anything. I mean, I really thought that in the perception of most people, this would be just an old radio hack giving it up and trundling off into the sunset, and that would be that. But that changed like probably 2 days in after the video dropped. When the Athletic got a hold of me.
Your inbox started filling up.
Yeah, and the Athletic got a hold of me and said, let's talk. And I'm a big fan of the Athletic.
Yeah.
The Athletic does some great stuff, and I thought, okay, if the Athletic wants to talk to me, we'll see what's going on here. But I didn't know what it was about. So I got together with them at the landing with the two guys that operate the thing here. One is Orr Moyal, who you may know. The other is Kent Garrison. I got together with them, and I'm like, well, what do you guys have in mind here? Or do you want me to write for you or what? Because I never have written too much sports. I've written a lot of other stuff, a lot of music stuff, but I've never written too much sports. And they said, no, we want you in our podcast space.
Yeah, because they grew as a very focused, like local focused sports content.
Yeah.
Written content.
Yeah.
And they've since kind of started to branch out into podcasts and different kinds of content other than just the articles and the in-depth kind of breakdowns, more than you get from the daily newspaper type stuff.
Yeah, it's a really nice supplement to the daily newspaper. Not to, knock the daily newspaper or what those guys do or anything like that, but the Athletic that they have the leeway to go far more in depth on anything they would like, more so than the guys at the dailies do. And anyway, they're telling me that they want me in their podcast space. I'm going, okay, well, I heard that and I was thinking, well, I don't know if I really want to do a big sports podcast. And I said that to him. I said, no, we don't want that. We want what's on Mike's mind. And I'm like, okay, all right, now that I can do. That I can get behind.
Right.
And that's kind of the basic model of it. They said, now we do want you on some of our sports stuff, but we don't want your whole thing here to be based around that.
Are you going into a facility to do this, or are you doing it from your house?
Most of the time when I do it from the house.
That's awesome. So you just have a setup and you're good to go.
Or if there's going to be somebody else there, usually we get together at my place and the guy from the Athletic comes over and he essentially does what you do, although your system is a bit more involved than that.
I'd love to see.
Because after all, you are high T.
Yeah. I might have gone overboard, but that's just what.
Well, you're doing it right, man. You're doing it right. I have much respect here.
I can't believe any of this works, and all of this might not be recorded at all. But we'll see when I get back.
I see it working.
I know, but this could explode at any moment.
But
I think that's cool. So you get to do it from your place. You don't have to go. There's
no
facility.
There's no facility or anything like that. And I've probably seen Orr maybe twice since that night.
And so when they announced it, they said that you're on the hook for at least one a month or one every other week. But otherwise, it's just whenever you have something on your mind or whenever you have a guest that you want to talk to, it's totally up to you, right?
Yeah, that's basically the premise that I've been working on. And when they want something from me, they tell me. And when they want me in on some of their other podcasts, we do that. Like we went over the Cowboys' 60 greatest players of all time list a couple of weeks ago.
Where did Charlie Waters make it?
He was probably in the...
He was on it, for sure?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's definitely on it.
I don't know.
Is he on it? God, that kills me. I can't believe you just asked him top 60.
I don't know. 60's a lot. But it's not very many when you have as many great players as the
Charlie
Cowboys.
Waters was really good for a
I know,
long time.
And he's hot, too.
He
He
was
is
hot.
hot.
Yeah,
He's
no,
hot.
he's
Still, he's hot.
Still, he's hot.
32. 30-ish.
Yeah, somewhere around
Made
there.
it in the 30s.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I don't know why I needed to know that, but I have to know where he is.
Marissa could have hooked up with one of Charlie Waters' kids.
I don't pride myself on that time.
Or maybe you did. I don't remember.
No, I did not. It was Drew Pearson's sister
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's awkward to hook up at a funeral.
God,
And
your
he
life
just-
is so
no,
crazy.
he just and Charlie Waters suggested that he introduced me to his son.
Okay.
Man.
Yeah.
I told him.
So things could have been totally different.
You could have had
Boy, they
super
sure could
kids.
have.
I mean, just these kids would have been able to jump over buildings.
I know, right?
It's okay.
She could have. She could. Never mind.
Okay, let's not even get it.
All right. So
Could you imagine though?
So the athletic, like the written content is premium content, but is your podcast free, or
I think so.
Is it behind the paywall?
I'm really not sure. I think it's free, but I'm not sure. I know it's out there on Google and or on Spotify and a couple of other places where they have podcasts.
All the things.
Yeah, all the things.
All the things on the Giga?
Yeah, it's out there. It's out there on them, so I hope people will get with the program and check it out if you haven't already.
Yeah, look it up. It is. I'm looking at my paper, Square One with Mike Rhyner.
Yes.
How did you come up with that, or did they make you name it that?
They like that name.
Yeah.
I wanted something else, but all the ones that I wanted are already taken. There are a lot of good podcast names that are taken.
There are about 1 billion podcasts. That's why we can't get any traction.
The Nobleman.
Yeah, we're
God.
gonna rebrand Htwow as the Nobleman.
Yeah, I love that. It's like we can wear more
That'd be
fancier, like fancy outfits.
I know. We'll get suits.
Something with frills.
Okay, it's time to round up the abridged Tears for Fears book report. And so you had mentioned that the Songs from the Big Chair is when you became aware.
Right. That was
Of
the first
Tears for
Tears for Fears output that I
That's
ever heard.
when I became aware. That's when everyone became aware, because that that album had so many hits.
For them to go from The Hurting, which was a great record, but the step up,
Songs from the Big Chair
especially-
is huge.
especially if you have hits on your first record, to do what they did on the second record.
I mean, not only huge as in popularity, but it just sounds huge.
It's amazing. It might be one of the best sounding records ever.
But you're going a little bit of a deeper cut.
For some reason, this song, and I don't mind a saxophone. How do you feel about the saxophone?
Love the saxophone.
I don't mind the saxophone. And for a new wave band, for them to kind of have a beginning, this is after the song Shout, for them to have this sort of a beginning of a tune was weird for me. But I love it. Do you know this? Do you know the working hour? You'll recognize it when you hear it.
There's a lot of their stuff that I'm not quite up to speed wise, title wise, Mm-hmm. But I'll bet I've heard this.
Yeah, I bet you've
Oh
heard
yeah,
this.
instantly.
Let's get it. good
It's the
jam.
old FM radio way.
I know. It's such a good jam.
That's a great tune.
Man, they, it's like they grew up.
Yeah, well, as soon as we started playing it, I was just like, man, as you said, setting it up, it's such a bait and switch to go from shout to that.
It's crazy. Well, the main thing was Shout was a throwaway, so that came at the very end. They didn't.
Right,
plan
the
on
record company
putting
was
that
like,
on
we
the-
need another
yeah.
single.
They were, we don't really hear anything, so they just made Shout up just to kind of put a thing, but that wasn't supposed to be a song on the record. Because they didn't hear Everybody Wants to Rule the World and the other big one, ding dun 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 dun
Oh,
dun dun
Head
dun,
Over
dun,
Heels.
dun. Yes. I mean, that's the one that I think that Roland thought was going to send them into the stratosphere. Like, for him,
Yeah,
that's the
that
hit
was
on
a
the
hit.
record.
Yeah.
But it ended up
And that's
being
probably my
Shout.
favorite on the set.
Oh, it's a
the
mega
album.
song.
Okay, so before we let you go, because we have taken up so much of your time, and we thank you.
This has flown by.
We talked about this earlier, the fact that you have lived so many lives, that your life has had so many acts, that, of course you have your childhood and your early band days, then you have the zoo days, then you kind of have the in-between days, then you have the ticket days, and then within the ticket days you have your latter-day band days, and now you have this kind of victory lap second career or third career. So when you look back, like, do you ever wonder, like, how did I get here?
Oh, yeah. All the time. I mean, is this really that skinny, nerdy kid from Oak Cliff? I mean, is this really me? I think about that all the time, man. I do.
God, that's so great.
Yeah, it's been unbelievable. It's just been a story that if you knew me back then and didn't have any idea what had happened to me or anything like that, and somebody told you how it all came down and where I wound up, you just go, man, I never saw that coming.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you feel like still doing the band stuff like that is the perfect release? Like, you have to have that to keep yourself sane?
That's what I wanted to get to, is when did the idea germinate in the back of your head that I want to do music again? That I need to be part of a band, and what made you pick Petty? Was Petty the first one?
Yeah, Petty was the first one. Petty was what I wanted to do. But that's a real great question, because once I stopped playing in bands, that was it. Mm-hmm. I was done.
What year was that where you were like, I'm not doing this anymore?
That probably would have been 89 or so, 88, 89. I just about, it kind of dwindled out even then, because I was playing a lot of country gigs and stuff. Not that
Man, we all say it after every loadout.
Yeah.
I'm never doing this.
yeah. And not that I mind doing
So
country
many beaten
gigs.
down nights.
So many beaten down night. Like, this is the
It
last.
can take
This
it
is
out
not
of you,
fun
man.
anymore.
It really can, especially if you're a drummer. There's so much more stands and the cases and the
Hardware. And,
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
And then you
Cymbals.
the guitar player shows up with his stupid guitar and
A little,
he has
a
his
little twin
amp.
reverb and
Oh, I'm set up.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Ready to go.
Ready to go. Yeah, jerks.
So what was it that triggered the, what
Man.
I think I can do this again?
I don't know. I don't know what it was. I just started listening to a lot of Tom Petty music, and the thing about him for me is that his music has always spoken to me, because there was something in there that I could relate to. And as I learned more about him and learned more about his matriculation, I think I figured out what that was. I'm 65 days older than he would have been. And when he was down there in Gainesville, Florida, or when I was, like playing in bands when I was a teenager and stuff like that, he was in Gainesville, Florida doing about the same thing. And it sounds like a lot of the gigs he was playing were about the same gigs that I was playing. And I don't know, I just felt a real strong cosmic kinship, if not brotherhood, with him on the way that we came up. Also, his upbringing was similar to mine. He had a real hard ass of a dad, so did I, that was not on board with that. Same here. His mother was a very docile, gentle, loving soul. Same here. And there were a lot of things that I think we had in common. Now, I don't know that because I don't know him. I never met him.
You asked him a question at the Super Bowl.
Well, yeah, I did do that. But I'm sure I'm sure that registered on with him for all of 5 seconds.
It's still good though. I love it.
Oh, it is. It is.
It's great. It's so great.
But I started getting into his music and deeper into his music, and I don't know, something said, if you wanted to, you could do this.
So did you like pick up the guitar and start to learn his songs
Yeah.
before you were like, okay, I could
Yeah, I did.
perform these. I could get a band and
So you
we
could
could
play
put it
guitar
together.
before.
Yeah, I could always
Yeah.
mess around on the guitar a little bit. I'm
Okay.
not good, but, I'm kind of a chord strummer and rhythm player, I mean, I know some other stuff than that, but they don't let me do it in the band.
You don't want to do that.
No, I don't want to do that, especially
Don't be
They
that
just
guy.
turn you down in the mix.
Yeah.
No,
it's- well, especially-
be the rhythm guy.
especially in view of the guys we have.
Yeah, you got some ringers.
Yeah,
I mean, all of those guys, or most of those guys, are time wasters.
Yeah, I can't hang with them. So I'm very happy to get the acoustic guitar up there and strum the chords, provide a little background hum, fill out the sound a little bit, and let them do the heavy lifting. But yeah, I got a guitar and started learning some of the stuff. And before long, I was thinking band.
Who was the first member of Petty Theft?
Rodney Wall was the first member. Rodney was a guy that I had big history with back in the day. And one day, I mean, I hadn't acted on this or anything, but one day I got I believe, instant messages is what we were doing back then at the time. I got an instant message from him one day saying, "Hey, Ryans, I'm digging the show and I'm enjoying watching all the success you guys have had and everything like that." And I just thought, thanks, Rodney. Would you be interested in putting a Tom Petty band together?
Yes. And he's like, that's
That
weird.
is-
I was just talking about that.
That is seizing opportunity. I mean, that is your whole
Yes,
life right
yes,
there.
That is.
Just the cosmic intersection
Yes.
and
That is so great.
striking when the iron's hot.
Yes, that's exactly it.
God, that's
So he was the first one that we recruited, and from there, the other original members, alas, none of them are still in the band today. But the rest of the original members came in one by one. Some of them made it. Others either decided they didn't want to do it or thought it was never going to get anywhere, or they just weren't into playing anymore or whatever. But we were still able to form enough of a foundation to where we could, get more guys. And we got it up and running and kept it going and started adding in better guys when guys would drop out. Every time that we've made a personnel move, we've always improved the band. And it wound up where it is today.
And so you've also, it's all the same guys, right? But you've also spun off and done a Birds cover band. You've
Yeah.
done a Dylan cover band.
Yeah, we did.
Anybody else that I'm
that's
forgetting?
it. That's it.
If you
Just
did
those two.
if you did somebody else, who would you do?
I'd love to do Steely Dan.
God, that's tough though. That's you have to get the right players.
Oh
for that
yeah,
one.
you do. You do have to get the
Because
right
that
players.
is that's different from just a pop band thing.
Yeah,
That's,
it is. There used to be a Steely Dan cover band around here called Naked Lunch.
What's so awesome is you could maybe get the bass player in Fort Worth that was on a bunch of those records. Doesn't he live over there?
I think he does.
You could
Yeah.
maybe get him to actually be in it. He was the first
just
one to do
send
the
this
thumb.
pod
Yeah,
to
the
him.
great Chuck
Yeah,
Rainey.
Chuck Rainey. Is he still alive, right?
I think
Surely.
so.
Yeah.
I haven't heard about the passing of the great Chuck
We would have
Rainey.
heard
I'm
about
sure
that.
I would.
We would have
Yeah.
heard about that. I want to meet him, though.
But Naked Lunch used to play around here quite a bit, and I loved watching them play. And occasionally they'd let me come up and sing a song or two with them.
God, why do I feel like Chris Holt's in that? Was he in that?
No, he was not in Naked Lunch.
Okay.
It was
But he
probably-
could play it instantly.
He
Like they
could
could invite him up if the guitar player broke his arm and Chris Holt was in the crowd, he could just jump up there and
Oh,
play
and,
everything.
and he
He's
would.
doing his Don Henley thing now. He's past everything.
Yeah, but he would relish the opportunity to do that. I
Maybe you
promise
could start an Eagles cover band with Don Henley.
Maybe I could. Maybe he's looking for a little something to do when he's not on
Right?
tour.
He's looking for
Play
some
the
people
Barley
to
House.
He's
Why
looking
not?
for some people to yell at. God, getting so pissed all the time.
Well, this has been awesome, Ryans. Is there anything else that you want to get off your chest before we let you go?
I think we've covered just about everything, man.
We
I'm
have
totally
meandered.
out of shit tonight.
We have meandered. Mike, this has been a pleasure. I'm glad that we finally got it done. It's been a dream of ours to have you on the show because not only are you a cool dude and a guy that we look up to, but you also have great taste in music and you are a music lover just like us. And I think all of our Htwow P1s will enjoy what you brought to the pod, not only the stories, but the jams. And so it's been awesome.
Well, it has been awesome. I've really enjoyed it, and I can't thank you boys enough for having me, and I'm glad this finally came about.
Michael,
David,
man, I felt like we were gonna get hammered together and we were gonna get like sloppy drunk rhymes, and it was going to be hilarious in that sense. But I think stone cold, laser focused, verbose rhymes is the better rhymes that we could have possibly imagined for this pod, and so everything's worked out
Let me
perfect.
fall off the wagon, and we'll
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah,
too.
we'll
Let
do
us
that.
know. Let us know as soon as that happens, and then we'll book you again,
All right.
and we'll make you stick around for the after dark. Patrons, we will play some of Ryan's jams, but we're also going to go deep into Tears for Fears and other random stuff. Please go to patreon.com and search up Htwow, or go to oldwaiver.com and click premium and become a subscriber. Just $5 a month, and you can help us buy more microphones. What else did you say that we needed to buy?
Pop screens.
Pop screens.
Yep.
Yeah, we need new pop screens.
We need all kinds of stuff. Koozies. We need, like, necklaces.
These boys need stuff. All right. Thank you so much, Htwow P1s, for listening. This has been a marathon one, but I think it's been well worth it. Mike Rhyner, most recently of The Ticket, but currently of Square One with Mike Rhyner. Search that up on your podcast player of choice. We will see you next month on Htwow. Thanks for being here.
You did such a good job with that fade out, Dave. That was really good. You nailed it at the end of the song.
What a pro.